I had the absolute pleasure of interviewing Tami Lysher this week, an early childhood educator, a fitness instructor of over 40 years, and a breast cancer survivor. She spent her career supporting women and children who've been impacted by trauma, and through a program she's created, helps them feel safe in their body again. Stay tuned. Good morning, everybody, and welcome back to Abounding and Alive podcast. My name is Becky, and I am the host over here on this new / reimagined podcast that I have started on my own. Now, I'm back with another exciting guest today who, her bio blows me away. She's so talented and well-versed, and I cannot wait for people to get to know what she does and what she offers to the world. Her name is Tami, and she is a studio owner and movement specialist. So let's talk to her right now. Welcome.
Thank you.
So yeah, like I said, your biography is vast. I reread it again this morning, and I was blown away by how well versed you are. You really touch on a lot of things that are important, well, at least to someone like me.
Yeah. And I think that sometimes just stepping back and looking at it myself, it's really kind of I can be utilized in a lot of different situations. And that's why I jumped at the chance to be on your podcast, because breast cancer obviously is near and dear to my heart as well.
I'm very thankful for guests like you who, have a similar story, but also our story of hope and survival and success. I love it to see people grow after adversity. I mean, there's nothing like letting the world beat you down and then just staying down. That's never been my MO. I don't like to stay down for too long. I mean, I have felt like the bounce back post-cancer treatment has been tough. It's always my goal to just grow, personal development, success up. And it sounds like you also live that way.
Yes, I do. And I think that, breast cancer for me, I had breast cancer in 2006. And so a lot of things have changed as far as treatments and procedures and things like that. And so I will be coming into year 19. I'm ever so grateful. Never had a scare after that.
Wow.
My treatment was long. And when I say long, it was I chose to do radiation, and then I took shots for 5.5 years. And so,
okay. So you were an estrogen positive.
Yeah, I was. Yeah. And so it's something that, I can relate to with so many people. So, but my healing journey has been all about doing things that are going to keep me healthy. And that's in turn moved into all of the work that I've done as well. So,
well, tell me, before 2006, before your diagnosis, were you on the same health path? Or you were. Okay.
Yeah, I was. I have exercised pretty much my whole adult life. I mean, even I think back to the very first time, I was teaching classes in a gym setting. I think I might have been 18, but I was teaching more, when I say fitness, I'm talking weights for women. It was in an all women's gym, but I wasn't trained. I mean, I was trained by the owner, but I wasn't physically trained.
Right.
That's a long time. It goes way back. And then when I was diagnosed, I was teaching in a gym setting. And for me, I was I've always taken care of myself. Why did I get cancer? I did everything right. And I'm only going to say that for a very, very long time, before studies came out, I always said that stress was a contributing factor. And I was in a very stressful marriage at that time. And they say that, the breast cancer starts 8 years before it actually manifests.
Wow.
It just kind of showed up one day, but I'd had scares on the opposite side in 2005. So I had biopsies done on the opposite side. And so that was in 2005. And then breast cancer was diagnosed in 2006. Yeah.
Wow. Yeah, I always felt like I was doing everything right. I mean, I probably could have eaten a little bit better, but I was active, I was busy, I watched what I ate, like I didn't microwave anything. I didn't take medicine unless I was like absolutely felt like I was dying. I like no floor. Like I thought I did everything right. And then when I got sick, it was a real eye opener. And then it was like, okay, so if it isn't lifestyle at this exact moment, maybe it's something that goes a little bit further back than today. And I had to go and think back. And I mean, in 8 years, that makes sense. That 8, 9 years prior, those were tough years for me. And so that, it makes perfect sense. And I wasn't estrogen positive. I was estrogen negative, and there was no family history of it. And I always have wondered over these last 2 years, where, why, why me? What did I do?
And I think that like the studies now, like there's one particular study that's called Adverse Childhood Educational Studies, or ACEs. And if you've got a high ACEs score, even as an adult, you're more prone to having cancer, having heart disease, having usually or lung disease or any of those kind of things. So there's specific things that, and I had a family history of, I would say, trauma, and people try and minimize it, but according to when I grew up, it was just my dad just drank, and it was and it was like other things, but it's really, you don't realize the impact of those kind of things and how it plays a part on your body. And when they say the body keeps a score, I'm a 110 believer. I believe in those kind of things. And I think
yes,
there's enough studies now that show that really what we were exposed to, even as children, has a bearing on us as adults.
Yes. I mean, I know we're not having this be a cancer episode, but I'm just like so fascinated by the things you're saying, because it resonates with me so much. Like when you say body keeps the score, like I have that book, and it's so true. It's like, you don't realize, like every time you deal with something, it's going to, find a place in your body, but it's like when you don't deal with that.
Mm-hmm.
And I've talked about this lots on my show, is like, as I work through it after cancer, as I do counseling, even occupational therapy, self-reflection, whatever, things are coming up that I didn't even know existed for me, or things that have been stored since probably childhood. I have a great relationship with my dad now, but I didn't really as a child. And not that he was a bad dad or anything, but I just, I don't know if I ever felt loved per se by him, and how that manifested into my behavior with men as an adult, or even as a teenager and into adulthood. And I always just think like the irony of me getting breast cancer, the one thing on my body that I always felt like attracted men, and then it's like I got, it was stage 3. There was like 8 tumors in there. It's like, and I was perfectly healthy. Like how, but it's like, if you want to like look past the surface level and just go deep, to me, it's like, that is some irony. And maybe it's like a wake up call. Like maybe you're more than just your body.
Oh, I believe that we're all energetic beings. They're all, there's so much that goes along with it. And I think that when you look at, like, especially like talk therapy is really good. I'm not here. I want to say that I firmly believe that talk therapy helps a lot of people. But for me, it was when I started using movement to connect back to my body, but then also realizing, and this has only been like in probably the last 6 years, where I began to really dive into the nervous system and how the nervous system plays such a big part in all of everything that we do. Like even you and I having a conversation here, it's like, you're comfortable with me. And these are all things, and I'm not going to go into the nervous system, but I just am such a huge believer in it. There's so much science behind it with, Dr. Stephen Porges, and I did nervous system training, and it was a 10-month course that I did. And I still work with a nervous system coach, and I did the training with Chantel Lopez and Ann Bishop. And I just feel that was a really big pivotal part of the work that I do.
The movement piece is so interesting. It keeps coming up in this last week and a half for me. I've never done any sort of movement therapy. I've only just recently heard about it, but about a week and a half ago, I met up with a girlfriend who was at a festival. It was like a healing type modality festival. And she was saying in the evenings, they do this quote unquote dance party, is how she put it. And I said, oh, that sounds really fun. She's like, well, it's not really a dance party. It's more like intentional movement, and everyone is like stomping and doing whatever. And it's healing. It's to get out. And I just looked at her like, I have no idea what you're talking about. And then I heard about it again on the other podcast I do. They were talking about this movement therapy and how intentional it is, and how you're physically like releasing parts that you're holding on to in your body. And so I'm like, this is the third time in a week that this is coming up. So
there is a lady actually who created something called dance therapy. And so she uses it more in the ballet industry, like
okay.
But what I do is also, it's body-based, but it's also, sometimes you might hear it referred to as somatics. I created a program called Trauma-Informed Movement, which sometimes people cry when they do these, it evokes emotion in you, like moving your body in certain ways, like just like how before we came on the show and you lifted your arms overhead and just opening up the lymphatic, like the incisions and the things like that, because we don't realize how tight and tense those things are. And when we look at our bodies keep a lot of emotion. We store a lot of emotions in our hips. And I've worked with women who have been, like sexually assaulted before, and they start moving, and then all of a sudden I tell people to expect it. It's, maybe not necessarily always with me, but I think that the more we move our bodies and the deeper you go, it's kind of like unraveling when you think about like an onion and you peel back the layers of the onion. So now we've had cancer, and I'm saying cancer because it could be a skin cancer, it could be breast cancer. Right. But we start to peel back those layers, and the further we get inward, and the deeper we go within ourselves, it brings up different things. And I am going to say that as long as I've been doing this work, I still sometimes will have triggers that bring up stuff. And I was like, where in the heck did that come from? And usually for me, I like to journal, and I'll sit and I'll write, or I'll just be reflective, sitting up. Like for me, healing is putting my feet in the grass and sometimes just sitting. Movement is not for everybody. And I just want to make sure that I'm saying that, because in everybody's movements, like your friend, how she danced, I'm not like that. I want to be methodical. I want to be intentional about how I move and how I move. Like, what does my body need? Actually asking myself, what do I need today? Is it breath work? Is it movement? Is it stillness? Is it being outside in nature?
And so you just let your body direct you to that.
I do, but like I said, I've been practicing a long time. So
right. You're in tune.
I am. But I think that when we look at all of the different kinds of modalities that are out there, that the bottom line for you and for me is healing, and how we heal, because not, just like cancer, it's not linear. Our stories are not the same, and the healing path is not going to be the same for you as what it's been for me. And I think that if I can say anything to other cancer survivors, is to have compassion for yourself. And so oftentimes we think there should be a timeline for healing from breast cancer. And we don't realize, even after as long as I've had, like I said, I'm coming into year 19. And at year 15, you would think I had just like this huge epiphany, and I cried and cried and cried and cried and cried. And because I had cancer, I was diagnosed in October, and I couldn't figure out why. And I can tell you why now, but at the time I couldn't. And it was because I never truly ever gave myself credit for doing everything that I did. I never missed a beat. I never missed work. I never missed treatment. I continued and I soldiered on. Yes, I had cancer, but. And so once I started unraveling the emotions around the cancer, the breast cancer, it was hard. I'm not gonna, it was a hard journey.
Yeah, I think I've been pretty hard on myself for whatever reason. And I have to take a step back and remind myself, hey, you haven't been on vacation and your body has been through an absolute beating. And I mean, surgery is hard, chemo is hard, radiation is hard. All of those things are hard. And, give yourself some grace. So the one thing I think I'm really hard on myself on is that I gained a lot of weight post chemo. And I know that's for a lot of people. That is. And I think part of the reason, at least for me, is number one, maybe hormone messed up, but two is I'm such an emotional eater. And so I was trying to deal with what I was just going through. And then so now I give myself very little grace for that. But it's for a lot of people with cancer or disease in general, they can't put on weight. They lose weight and they look very ill. So, I mean, the fact that my body wants to still do this tells me it's in a, more of a healing journey. And so now I'm trying to figure out again, how does my body work? How do I move? Where are my muscles gone? Because they just feel like they've wasted away to nothing after these last 2 years. And so it's been a rediscovery, basically exercise from ground one. I can't dive into a hard plan, but I can go for a walk. I can do some light weights. I, can go on the bike. And those things actually feel really good. Or I don't feel like I'm putting a lot of pressure on myself, but I'm giving my body what it so desperately wants right now.
When you think about even gentle movement, and gentle movement could be taking a yoga class. It could be joining a Pilates class, but being kind to yourself and saying, I can't do what, and not do comparison to other people in the class, or be, go and see somebody who's actually specializes in breast cancer and do things like that. But it's really, and I think that you're not alone. You're really not alone. And you said it's only been 18 months since you had cancer. Yeah, it alters how you feel. It alters how you think. And sometimes I don't think that the doctors give us enough credit. I actually interviewed, so I had a podcast at one point, and it's still there, but I haven't used it in a while. But I was on a podcast for my breast cancer surgeon because I wrote a program during COVID on using Pilates with breast cancer survivors. And it was really interesting because, I did what I was supposed to do, but sometimes the emotional pieces of it, that's the part that's hard. It's hard. And I just want to give you thinking about the fact that you're giving back with your podcast. And I love the title of this version of it, Abounding and Alive, because it's you're right. But before we came on the podcast and you talked about literally sometimes I'm going to use the word reinvent yourself, or things just because of your experiences, something else comes forward out of it. And I think that for me, that healing journey began when I really had cancer, and how it's evolved has been over time. Because for a long time I worked in the field of education, and I saw young women even then. So we're talking a long time, a long time, had different kinds of cancers, or maybe their moms had cancer, but their moms were really young. And it was really, I just feel like that's where a lot of my own journey with the work that I'm doing now, because I've always worked with people who've had some kind of trauma. And for a lot of it was adversity, poverty, but I saw the impact on how it was on the parents, but also on the children.
I have 2 teenage daughters who were preteens at the time when I got sick. And I think it hit them hard. I really do. Behaviors changed, grades changed, attitudes just in general sort of changed. Sadness. There was a lot more sadness around the house for my younger one, for sure. A lot more anger for my older one. And I forget sometimes, even now, going through it, like my daughter made a comment yesterday about like how her grades weren't very good in 7th grade. Now she's going into 10. And I'm like, oh yeah, well that makes sense because in 7th, at the end of grade 7, like your mom had cancer. So like I guess that makes a lot of sense. You know, it's like you don't realize the impact it has on anyone, but like with kids, a lot of them who don't or can't express what they're going through, it really eats them up inside.
So my daughters, so I too have 2 daughters. So my daughters were 16 and 19 when I had breast cancer, but I also had gotten a divorce prior to having had breast cancer. And that now puts them at a higher risk. And they're in their 30s now. So they've already had to have mammograms. Anyways, it's educating them too on the importance, but the good thing is you know, you got a baseline to start with. But my younger daughter always said to me, I don't know how you did it, but sometimes it's just a part of survival, and you just do.
Yes.
Yeah.
You don't even think about it when you're in survival mode. It's just, I want to live today, and that's what's going to happen. Mm-hmm. Quite frankly, this last year of being in remission, it's like, how am I doing this? Like survivor mode was easy. Like dealing with trauma mode, that one's not easy.
Yeah. And I think that when you put it like that, it's really, it's acknowledging that, you know, your body's been through a trauma, and that it impacts you a lot, like from the emotional standpoint. It's part of who you are as a woman, especially when you've had a complete mastectomy. I mean, it does it. There's a lot of different things, but it also impacts you hormonally, which can chemically induce menopause for some women that are way too young for it. That impacts, you know, their pelvic health. I mean, there's a whole, I know that you did another podcast not too long ago on pelvic health, and I think that is so critical, but yet there's not a lot of talk around breast cancer and pelvic health. Correlation with the medication that they give you, or even, you know, the different kinds of treatment, because they never once asked me. And it wasn't until like even probably 10 years ago that I really started putting 2 and 2 together on pelvic health.
Yeah, they don't warn you about these things prior to treatment. And then if you're lucky enough to have a nurse or a doctor who's a little more, I want to say holistic, then they may mention it to you. I am very honest about what I'm going through when I go back to see, it's now the nurse practitioner, but I'm very honest about what I'm going through. And she had recommended, hey, maybe a pelvic floor therapist might be a good choice for you. And I was like, that seems weird. I had breast cancer, but okay, I'll do all the things on a journey to get better. I will do all of the things. And I did see a pelvic floor therapist. Life-changing.
Yeah.
You don't realize, like, you just clench up in there all the time.
Yeah. Well, when you think about your muscles in your body, and I don't know if anybody's ever talked to you about this, but when you think about like your jaw and the clenching, it happens in the pelvic floor as well.
I've got a wicked TMJ from a fall as a child. Had surgery for my jaw, need surgery again for my jaw, and I'm always like clenching. And I can definitely think that my body is clenching in more places than just my molars.
And when
I'm sure I'm clenching everywhere.
Yeah, but when you clench and you're always in that tight phase, your body's always in, so it's fight, flight, or freeze. And when you clench, you're tight. Like your body is in that fight, like you're in that fight stage. And some people carry it like in their shoulders or in their chest or in their mouth when they clench.
This makes me want to like stretch out and feeling like.
And I think that, and again, that goes back to the nervous system. And it's like, we don't realize, because it's autonomic. I mean, those are things that we naturally do because that's what our bodies have been unfortunately, that's what we've been conditioned, or those are things that might have even been something from as a child, that your body was just, you were a clencher, you know? So I think it really makes a difference. And when you start looking at it from a holistic perspective, because you don't have to take medication to help you with your nervous system. There's things that you can do with it. And that's where, like, the work that I have done with both my adult clients and with the children, which is probably, I wouldn't say it's not 100% focus, but I do a lot of work with children. I see who've been exposed to traumas or been exposed to other kinds of things, and they're already, like, their bodies are tight and they're rigid, and it affects so when we're tight, it impacts our breathing.
Right.
And we breathe shallow. And I had one lady come to me, and her son was, she adopted him from a foster care system. And we can think that we're going to make a difference in a child. You can't change their history. But when I started working with him and teaching him how to begin to expand and open his lungs, things started to change. He was 8 years old and he still couldn't hold a pen, to grip it, to begin to write. And usually writing starts when you're 4, 5? Yeah. So, or holding a cup and drinking without a lid, he still couldn't do. So when we started doing breathing and swallowing and vocalizing, he started to be able to do more things. But I also did Pilates with him, and we did, like, core exercises to strengthen his core, because you can't sit very well and write. I'm going to push my chair back so you can see. Like, if your arms are up and if your core is weak, you don't have the stability to sit in a chair to write, and he would fall out of chairs.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah. So I think that's where Move Into Calm was born. But I've been working with kids for a long time, but I saw it long before the program that I've created has come into play.
Well, I'm thinking, like, even on a very high level, like, zoom out here. If you're feeling like stress, just being able to, like, breathe. Like, if I'm feeling like panicked, nervous, gonna throw up even, like, just like those intentional breaths usually help calm me down. I often will get like a weird palpitating heart, and I'm like, okay, we're just breathing through this one. If I'm on an airplane and there's turbulence, just breathe through this one. So yeah, it's very interesting, like, just how breathing is, I mean, we take it for granted, right? We just do it.
We do, but I also I just want to caution, because a lot of times, if people breathe too fast, they take too big a deep inhales, and if they've gone through trauma, sometimes it can re-trigger that. So learning how to do that, learning how to just begin to breathe a little bit deeper, like maybe not being fully expansive in the lungs, but they always say, and then let it go. But if you exhale, like, I'm going to just use the word, if you exhale slower, so you inhale and then a slow exhale is really what helps you.
So I do blood analysis, like we were talking backstage, and I can actually see on people who, I ask people often, do you find that you're just, like, holding on to your breath a lot? Like, and some people go, I don't know what you mean by that, but, like, there's just something that shows up in the endocrine system on your dried blood sample. That's because you're not releasing all the CO2, and then, you have bits, and CO2 is a toxin, right? You don't want it in your body. You want to get it out. And so I can physically see it on the sample. I'm like, you're holding on to something. I don't know what. I don't push them for that, but I'm like, you just need to, like, take some time to do some breath work, to really focus on your breathing. Yeah. And for a lot of them, they're like, I have no idea how to do that.
Well, and I think that that's very interesting that you talk about that, because a lot of times people who've gone through trauma are breath holders.
Yes.
And they're not getting that CO2 out, and it's affecting their levels of cortisol, which you already know.
Yes.
That's your area of expertise.
Yes.
And I think that when you start to think about those kind of things, I mean, there's so many programs and free things on YouTube to teach people how to breathe.
Do you recommend people do like a segment every day, or is it multiple times a day? Or
I'm going to just say that for me personally, I breathe, like consciously breathe, probably more than 3 or 4 times a day. Wow. When I'm stressed, I do lengthier breath sessions.
Yeah. The more research I'm doing on this, I see there's such a link between like your adrenal system and like your thyroid and your endocrine system, the link between the two. And it's just like, if we just like slow down, breathe through it, de-stress, get some sleep, you know, it's going to stop putting pressure on all these other systems of our body.
It is, but then you add in a little bit of movement with that.
Yeah.
And it might be as something as like a twist. Like twisting.
That feels so good.
And I think that when you add in, like even sitting in your chair and like opening and clenching, like so you tighten and release your hands, or you even do let your head fall to one side, and maybe you massage your neck because that's going to release your vagus nerve. Or getting deep into the trapezius muscle, getting to massage. So I think that there's a lot of ways. But the other thing too, and there's been all kinds of studies that have been done with this, is go outside. If you live in an area where you can go barefoot, put your feet in the grass. Open your toes up. There's 7,000 proprioceptors in our feet, nerve endings. And sometimes starting with our feet, even though it seems silly, but you feel, the more grounded you feel, the more energizing your body's going to feel.
When I go to Las Vegas, obviously Las Vegas is not a relaxing place at all. It's not my first choice for vacation. My husband loves it, so I go. Like I find just the amount of people and noise stimulation, it's just constant, and I feel stress, right? And plus you're not sleeping, and usually you're drinking on top of it. So you have a lot of this stress going on. These last few times I've been, I keep saying to my husband, I need to find grass. Like I just need to find grass, and there's no grass anywhere on the strip. And I'm like, I just need to find it. And he goes, why? And I'm like, I have to take off my shoes and I have to put my feet in it. I said, I don't even care. I'm going to go put my feet on that tree. I don't care. I need to have my feet grounded because all this stress and all this concrete is driving me crazy.
You're not silly.
I thought I was the first time. And then I was like, no, there's science behind this.
No, you're not. The other place that I would also suggest is if you can't find grass, go sit beside the pool. Put your feet in the water in the pool.
Right.
So
I've heard that grounding in, like a river or something is so good. We went to the river 2 days ago. It was beautiful here. Just fully submerged in the river. Man, did I feel great after. It's like for a brief moment, it's like all of life's problems are gone because I'm in the river and that's all that matters.
Where do you live, Becky?
What do you mean?
What state do you live in?
I'm in Canada, actually. I'm in near Edmonton, Alberta.
Oh my gosh. Okay. No, I understand. I live in Michigan.
Okay.
Surrounded by the Great Lakes.
Oh, beautiful.
This weekend, I'm actually going on a yoga retreat to Lake Huron is where I'm going. And putting my feet in the lake is the only thing I really want to do. I can practice yoga, but I really want to put my feet in the water.
Yes.
So yeah. And that's where I think that like tapping into your own healing and what your body needs. Obviously, you live probably in an area where there's lush green trees and maybe forest.
Tons of forest. Yes.
Yeah. And where I live probably 60 miles north of Detroit. So there's lots of area because Michigan has lots of lakes as it is.
Right.
But I think that when you can find in being outdoors is also got so many benefits, even in the winter. And I'm not a cold weather girl, but I will go outside and just even sit and just breathe. Not take my boot, not take my shoes off and put it in the ice cold because I'm not about
frostbite.
No, I'm not. But I think that when you start to begin to look at like the importance of nature, and so many children don't have the opportunity to go outside and play because everything is so structured. And that's why allowing children to move, because so many of them, your daughters were probably impacted by COVID.
Oh yeah, big time.
Yeah,
Big time.
Those are the kind of things that I see when I work with children. So right now I've been working, let's just say 4 to 10 has been the age ranges, but all of their parents as well. But the kids' movement patterns, definitely some of them have not developed normally. In coming from the early childhood portion of it, that's where I like to help parents teach, like to get their kids to begin to move in ways like strengthening their core so that little boy could begin to breathe deeper and sit in a chair and drink and do all of the things that a normal 8-year-old little boy should be doing.
Right.
So it's not about coming to me for a lengthy amount of time. It's about coming and learning, and then maybe coming back and needing what I'm going to call a tune-up. They come back. So, I mean, I think that when we think about the resiliency of kids who've gone through, because to me, COVID has impacted every single one of us.
Yes, unfortunately.
Yes, yeah, and it's impacted their learning. It's impacted our school systems. It's impacted all the teachers. I mean, it's impacted so much, which is going to impact our nervous system.
Yes.
So the program that I'm doing at Butler University, which is in Indiana, is called Applied Neuroscience in Education. So it's looking at how our nervous systems have made such a difference in how our kids are learning, how the teachers are teaching, and what kind of comprehension the kids they're not comprehending. Because if your nervous system is always on high alert, kids can't focus.
For sure.
Kids can't make decisions, or nor can adults. So it's pulling it all together. It's all of the work that I've done.
This is so beautiful. I love the work that you do. I love that you extend it to children, because I think sometimes children are sort of like the forgotten demographic as well, right? Since they can't really advocate for themselves, or they don't advocate for themselves. Like
when you think about like how, like just giving children simple tools to teach them how to breathe. And I only have one tool in here that I could actually show you, but like teaching them how to begin to breathe. It's one that I like to use a lot. It's called the Hoberman sphere. So you hold on to it and the kids can make it expand and contract. Talk about, like, especially with the older ones, like teaching them about their lungs and how it breathes, and even like the diaphragm and how the diaphragm moves in and out before, like as they're breathing. I have a YouTube channel, and I do a lot of posting on my YouTube channel for like the work that I do, and it's Studio T Pilates MI for Michigan.
Okay. Studio T Pilates MI on YouTube. Okay. I will immediately be following that. Where else can people find you?
I actually am also on Facebook, but the Facebook it's just my own name. So it's Tami Lysher. I do have a studio page, but I'd probably say that I'm more diligent about posting on my own page. And I also have a Facebook group, and it's called Move Into Calm. And that's the name of the program. But I also have just started, and I started dabbling, but I really like it, is writing blogs. And I'm just getting ready to launch my 3rd blog. So if people are interested, they can even go to Studio T Pilates MI, and they can find places there. Yeah.
Amazing. Well, I will make sure I link all of your socials and places to find you in our show notes so that anyone can get a hold of you. This has been so lovely, Tami. I feel very inspired. I'm going to go out, put my feet in the grass while we still have sun before the snow comes. Once September comes, it starts to get cold. And then by October, we usually have snow for sure by Halloween, sometimes earlier. So, we got to appreciate this grass where we can.
It's probably for us, it really starts getting cold by like January. But it's still cold enough. Yeah, no, it still gets cold. But I mean, it's like the snow, and it usually is cold like January, February, March.
Yeah.
And, it comes and goes. So, but I do appreciate, like you, I appreciate it. So, but Becky, thank you so much for your invitation to have me today. And I really like Move Into Calm is not just for parents and children. It's also for caregivers, meaning grandparents and educators. So I just want to make sure that everybody knows that space is there for everybody. So
awesome. Thank you so much, Tami.
You're welcome. Thanks for having me.
Yeah, well, that was it for our show today. Thank you so much to Tami for being here. If you want to check her out, you can find her on Facebook at Tami Lysher. That's TAMILYSHER, or on her Facebook group, Move Into Calm. You can search that, find it there. And on her YouTube, Studio T Pilates MI. So I'm looking forward to following all of your socials, following along, seeing all of the cool things that you have to say. Join us next week. I have a bunch of different guests lined up. Not sure which order they're going to be in, but stay tuned because I'm sure you will not be disappointed. Thanks for being here, everybody. Bye.